February 25th Board of Selectmen's meeting. The Selectmen have exited executive session and will now begin a hearing. The Board of Selectmen will begin a hearing on a dog nuisance complaint at the request of Animal Control Officer Phyllis Tower to discuss the dog belonging to Judy Francisco of 752B Main Street. I will read the notice of public hearing. The Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Thursday, February 25th at 7 p.m. using Zoom at the request of Animal Control Officer Phyllis Tower to discuss the dog belonging to Judy Francisco of 752 Main Street. I would ask the town administrator if this notice was published, posted, and served upon the interested parties as required by law.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it has.
Okay, thank you. Do we have Ms. Tower and Ms. Francisco in the meeting? If you're present, please unmute yourself and identify yourself. Is Phyllis Tower or Judy Francisco in the meeting? I'm not hearing from anybody.
I see that Judy is in here, but does not appear to have a microphone. I don't see Phyllis. There is one telephone number I don't recognize.
Phyllis is on, she's on the meeting, but she's
I
on.
think Phyllis just joined us.
There she is. Yep. Ask her to unmute.
Ms. Francisco, do you have a microphone there?
What I can do is put the telephone number that I gave to Don earlier back in the chat.
All right, I think her microphone is on now.
It is, okay.
Ms. Francisco, could you just say a couple words so we know if your microphone's working?
Hello, hello.
There you go. That's good. And Phyllis, you're with us also?
Still on mute.
It would be really great if you guys would introduce yourselves because I have no idea who I'm speaking with.
Okay, well, we're trying to make sure everyone's participating first, and then we will do that.
Phyllis, you
Phyllis?
will need to unmute. I keep
Yep.
sending. Oh, we can hear you now.
All right, thank you.
All right, excellent. Don, the notes I have said that it's necessary to swear in the witnesses. Is that appropriate under these circumstances?
It is.
Okay,
You would still need to swear. You would just need to ask anybody who's going to be speaking on the matter to raise their right hand and swear them in.
okay. So let me identify myself. I'm Bob Sikansky, currently chairman of the Board of Selectmen. Would the other two selectmen please identify yourselves for Ms. Francisco?
Yes, I'm Stan Wysocki. I'm a member of the Board of Selectmen here in Bolton.
Jonathan Keep, Board of Selectmen.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm Don Lowe, town administrator.
Oops, sorry. I would ask that Phyllis and Judy please prepare to swear about the testimony they're about to give. Anybody else who intends to speak to this matter, I ask that you also turn on your cameras and participate by audio with the swearing in. So if we begin that, I would ask you to raise your right hand near your head so we can see it, and repeat after me that I state your name.
I, Judy Francisco,
Swear that the testimony I'm about to give
swear that the testimony I'm about to give
in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
in this matter is the truth and nothing but the truth.
Okay, did we get that from Phyllis?
No, we didn't.
I'm trying to get the camera on, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Now her camera's on, but she's muted.
Yeah, I think I unmuted it. We all set?
Okay. I need to swear you in also. If you could
Yes.
raise your right hand and say aye, state your name.
I, Phyllis Tower,
Swear that the testimony I am about to give
swear that the testimony I am about to give,
in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
that this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
All right, thank you. At this point, I would like to ask Phyllis to bring forward what the nature of the complaint is.
And this is
Mr.
done.
Chairman, if I could just interrupt a moment, point of order.
Yes,
I believe that Judy Francisco resides on the premises of one of our selectmen, Jonathan Keep. And we haven't heard from Mr. Keep as to whether or not he's planning on recusing himself in this particular matter, as Judy
I'm-
Francisco is a tenant of this.
That is true. I'm going to be present for the meeting visually via Zoom, but I'm going to abstain in terms of the vote, and I will not be participating in the discussion.
all right, thank you. Well, thank you, Stan, for bringing that up so that we understood the status of that.
You're welcome.
Ms. Tower, could you tell us what the nature of the complaint is?
Yes. The bylaws in Bolton about dogs, 110-3 talks about dogs can't run at large. The dogs are, she has several dogs. There's been at least 2 of them that have been,
Two dogs,
I'm sorry, there's 2 dogs.
2 dogs.
Okay, there's 2 dogs, and 2 of them have been at large. They've been off the property and picked up by motorists passing by. So that's what this is about. It's about the dogs that aren't staying on the property, and they're getting out onto Main Street.
Okay, could you recount any warnings or dates of incidents where this has happened?
Yes, I can. The first one was June 21st, and it was 2020, sorry. And it was on Father's Day. Dispatch got a call at 6:43 in the evening that a dog had been gotten off the street by several motorists. They were all stopping. So they got the dog off by the library. I came out to get the dog, and by the time I got there, somebody realized whose dog it was, and the dog got returned. Miss Francisco and I exchanged several emails that the following day, and she was letting me know who she introduced herself in the emails and gave me some background about her dogs. I answered her back, letting her know that it was just so dangerous for the dogs to be out on that main street there. It's very busy, and to make sure that she was aware that there were future fines should the dogs continue to get out. She politely answered me back and said that she agreed that the best thing was that the dogs were safe, and she understood that it wasn't good for them to be out on the road. So then it was a Tuesday, August 18th, 2020 at 7:11 at night. Dispatch got a call that somebody had picked up a dog on Main Street and brought it to the police station. I got called to come get the dog, and then while I was on the phone, the owner called and said that her dog was missing, so she went and picked it up from the station. I again emailed her that evening, letting her know that I was aware that her dog had been gotten loose again. On Friday, October 9th, at 6:18 at night, the police department got a call that a woman was at the station with the dog, same situation. I called and said, one of the officers walked out and said that I again emailed her that evening, and we again talked. again expressed how concerned I was about the dogs being out on Main Street being too busy. Since several times had passed, I had spoke with members at the town hall saying that I think a letter needs to go to her to let her know that the dogs can't keep doing this. So on December 22nd, a letter was written to her telling her that if there are further incidents, there would be a dog hearing with the selectmen. On Sunday, January 31st, 2021, a few minutes after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the police department got a call saying that there was a gentleman at the station with the dog. I headed out to get the dog, and while I was en route, checked to see if the owner had called, and she had, and she went and picked up the dog. On February 5th of this year, a letter was sent to Miss Francisco informing her about the dog hearing that was for tonight. Several days later, on February 8th, around 2:45, a motorist picked the dog up again out on Main Street. She called the cell phone number that was on the tag, left a message. Miss Francisco did call her back, and they made arrangements to get the dog back to her. I believe it was going to be done at the police station. And that brings us up to this evening. You did ask about fines. I went down the order that Bolton uses for fines. Written warning, $25, $50, and each one after that is $150.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Francisco, would you like to respond?
There's one dog involved. This is him. He's a Jack Russell Terrier. I'm certainly aware of the seriousness of the situation and the inconvenience I've placed you all in. He has been leashed ever since. I don't know what else. It's really, I'm so sorry to inconvenience everybody.
Well, at this,
Put me in town stocks. I don't have thousands of dollars to pay for your time and your effort, but I'm perfectly willing to stand in the center of town and have people throw pies at me, but I don't have money. So
is there anybody else who would like to speak on behalf of Ms. Francisco?
nope.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak in support of the complaints? Mr. Lowe?
Sorry, the
I don't
selectmen, Mr.
understand who's complaining. I mean, what are the complaints? I have one dog that escaped. He's a puppy. He is learning how to behave. He comes to the barn with me most of the time. None of the people, I mean, no accidents have been caused. One little dog goes to the library, which is close to our property. And it sounds very serious, and it would be serious if the dog had caused an accident. But thank the Lord that hasn't happened, and I will contain him from now on.
We're also fortunate the dog hasn't been injured.
I did some research. I mean, some of the laws are written to protect citizens, and they're to protect citizens from dogs that bite, from dogs that roam, who are unneutered. This dog is well licensed, well cared for by the veterinarian in town. He is a gentle, sweet little dog that everybody falls in love with, and that's why they pick him up. But he hasn't hurt anybody. He hasn't destroyed anybody's property. He is a mischief. But mischief is not exactly punishable by law, is it?
There's possibility of endangering public safety. Don, did you want to say something?
I did. I just wanted to get a point of clarification. I thought I heard Ms. Francisco say that she now has the dog on a leash. Was that accurate?
Accurate. It's not just a leash, it's a 6-foot long horse training line.
So you've already taken preventive measures.
I
Ms. Midcourt, yeah.
definitely have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Phyllis, it's not dogs, it's only one little tiny dog. Dogs
I,
are not involved.
I do have something to respond to that, if I may.
Go ahead.
The email that she sent on June 22nd talks about actually the first dog. She thanks me for finding Ezekiel at the library.
Ezekiel
Apologize.
is now dead. He's dead. He's a dead dog that was a 20-year-old dog that died. He is no longer with us. And Ezekiel did wander, but it was 3 years ago, long before your time.
Phyllis, go ahead. Please don't interrupt again.
I'm so sorry.
My point just was that it wasn't just this one dog. There was another dog, and evidently he was quite senior. And I am sorry that he is no longer with you. But it's not just the one dog. So it was 2 dogs with 1 owner.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Stan, did you have anything?
Yeah, Phyllis, it sounded like there were 4 or 5 incidents where the dog left the property.
Correct.
And no disrespect to Miss Francisco, but some of her arguments have no merit whatsoever. There is a law in this town that you need to keep your dog under control and keep it on premises. And your dog was off premises at least 4 or 5 times. So I think you're a bit cavalier in your description, and nothing happened. Well, it was lucky that nothing happened, but the law is the law in town. And so far you've had 4 or 5 opportunities to correct that, and you haven't. So, you know, we're sitting here now indicating that you have remedied the situation again. I think, you know, when we get to the point, I think Ms. Tower, you'll possibly have some recommendations for us relative to either next steps or actions or the like.
Yeah, my take on it is that this is not some dog that's loose running around a field. I understand no one's been attacked. I understand nobody's been hurt. This dog is running in and out of traffic at dusk, apparently, too. That's different from just being loose. So I do think that there is a problem here. There have been multiple opportunities to address this in the past. I'm glad there's finally a leash going on it, but I don't know how that's going to play going forward. So at this point, I would ask Don Lowe for advice on the next, where I think I should be going is asking Phyllis Tower for recommendations, but is there another step I should be taking before I go there?
Mr. Chairman, I would just suggest, can you hear me all right?
Yes. Thank
Yes.
you.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I would just suggest that since there are no other comments to be made by anyone else in attendance, that at this point you ask the animal control officer for her recommendation based on what's been said this evening.
All right. Thank you. Phyllis Tower, what would your advice to the Board of Selectmen be?
I don't look to change the advice here any different than any of the decisions in the past on other hearings. In this town and in other towns, it usually basically starts out the same, and sometimes it has to be tweaked a little bit due to the property or the house. But I'll just start out by saying that a pen be put off the house. We recommend a 6-foot high chain link fence. someone says, why can't I go lower? Well, if you get into a 5-foot or lower pen, you need to go in to clean it. It's not real convenient. So we suggest a 6-foot high chain link fence or pen. I don't mean the whole yard has to be fenced in, just a pen. It has to be secure with a cover. So either the top has to be wired off or it has to have a secure roof. The floor needs to be solid. It can be patio blocks or a cement pad or something else that would suffice to that. We wouldn't want the
You
dog
dropped
digging
out. You dropped
underneath.
out there for a moment, Phyllis.
Any doors on the cage? Yep, I apologize. So I was just talking about the floor, patio blocks or cement pad dog to be digging out from underneath. That's why we need a solid floor. Any doors on the pen need to be locked at all times with no keys in them. We've had this problem before with another case in another town. Padlocking the doors isn't suffice if you leave the key in them. So the padlocks have to be secured so that nobody, not that the dog's going to get out, nobody accidentally leaves a door open. The pen has to be attached either to the house so that the dog goes directly from the house to the pen. It can be out the regular door. So Miss Francisco would leave the house, go through the pen and out, or it could be off a garage if that is something that works at that house, or it could be off a porch. The point is that the dog goes from house to pen without being outside, not even on a leash, so that the dog doesn't have any way of escaping. That would be my suggestions. And then I have kind of a 2 or 3 steps on what to do as far as time to get back for discussions or when the pen needs to be made, but maybe you want to step up and have those rules made.
Okay. Stan, do you have?
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just a point of order, following the guidelines that we have here. The first step that would be taken, the 2-step process would be the board would deliberate on whether or not an actual violation has taken place. If you find that a violation has taken place, then you get into what, if any, action should be taken. Now that you've heard from the animal control officer, if you don't feel a violation has taken place, then obviously the second step is moot. But at this point, if you're not taking any more comments, then you would first vote, to deliberate and vote on whether or not you feel a violation has taken place.
Okay. I think there's ample evidence that violation has occurred. Stan?
I would concur with that, and I second that.
All right. So I will make a motion that that this, our motion is what? That this be declared a nuisance dog? Is that our motion?
The motion would be, if you feel a violation has been declared, then you would declare that the dog is a nuisance dog. You would vote that, and then you would get into what, if any, action you feel should be taken.
All right, so I will move that this dog be declared a nuisance dog.
I'll second that.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Roll call.
You're on mute,
Sorry.
Jenny.
I know, I was trying to find my unmute. Roll call. Do I include Jonathan in the roll call? John?
Yes.
Okay.
Jenny,
Roll call.
Jenny, this is,
He's recused. Jonathan recused himself.
No.
No, he did not.
No?
I didn't.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, roll call. Waisaki,
Aye.
Keep,
Abstain.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, now we will deliberate on the recommendation of the animal control officer. At this point, I think it's a modest proposal. It doesn't state how big or small this control area has to be. But it seems that that's an appropriate next step.
Is there any reason for me to be here right now? I'm sorry to interrupt. but my heart is beating. I feel like crying. I am looking at 7 strangers who have just said that this precious creature is as a terror to the town of Bolton. And my reaction to that, I rent from somebody who is a gentleman who has allowed me to be on the premises and have my dogs. I've had 2 knee surgeries. I work out of Bolton. I take the dog with me. I cannot afford and will not ask my landlord to build such a structure. I would sooner move out of Bolton. I am horrified that you are sitting in judgment of a little old lady with a little dog. And this is the conclusion that you have all come to. And I feel very poorly judged and unfairly judged. And I really don't know what to do except say, you know what? Maybe I don't need to be in the town of Bolton if this is your reaction. This is a gentle, sweet dog that has never done a thing and luckily did not cause an accident, but I am not building a pen for him. He does not deserve to be in a pen. I work at a farm that's 70 acres. He runs on the property there. He comes when he's called. He is a fabulous dog, and I will not put him in a pen. I will not. I won't. I would sooner leave Jonathan's than carry out the punishment that you have all meted out so generously.
Can I make a comment from the
No,
audience?
I'm sorry. No, not at this point.
No. Could you let me know when?
Stan? If you're not recognized by the chair, could you please mute your microphones?
All right, if you can include me, I'd appreciate it.
Well, given the fact that there's been multiple violations and
I don't think you understand that.
Ms. Francisco, please let the
please,
selectman continue.
please,
Okay.
given there's been multiple violations and the animal control officer has explained the situation to Ms. Francisco multiple times, and the situation continued with the dog being out of the property multiple times. I'm fine with the recommendations that the animal control officer has at this stage for what her recommendations are for this particular animal. So I'm comfortable with that. I think we're all lucky that nothing has happened to anyone, but that doesn't excuse the situation at all. So I'm fine with the recommendations by the animal control officer.
All right, Don, this being a hearing and not a regular open meeting, we've asked for comments. There were no comments one way or the other when they were asked for. Are comments invited at this point, or do we just continue?
No, Mr. Chairman, the opportunity for comments has come and gone. You asked at the beginning of the hearing, anyone who wished to speak either in favor or against be sworn in at that time. There are only 2 people chose to do so. Then at the end, towards the end, when you took the vote to decide whether or not the dog was a nuisance or whether or not there'd been a violation, again, there were no comments, but anybody who was going to comment was asked to be sworn in at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
This is new procedure for me, so, and this
I'm
whole
sorry,
procedure is,
we're
okay,
not,
I just
we're
want
not
that to be
recognizing
known.
other participants in the
Okay.
meeting at this time.
Okay,
Well, I will make a recommendation. I will move then that the selectmen, I guess, will follow the advice. Will what's the wording I'm looking for here? For the animal control officer, will
I guess the wording would be that the Board of Selectmen will vote to accept the recommendation of the animal control officer.
okay. So I will move that the Board of Selectmen vote to accept the recommendation of the animal control officer.
I will second that.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Waisaki,
Aye.
Keep,
Abstain?
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, what you haven't done yet, now that you've decided on an action, what you haven't said is, the earlier comments notwithstanding, what period of time you would expect this action to have taken place. And again, bearing in mind that it's winter right now still and with there's snow on the ground.
I will ask the animal control officer for their opinion on that topic.
Okay, there is some snow on the ground, but I'm not asking anybody to dig into the ground. And I'm not asking anybody to make a huge pen. The dog, as Ms. Francisco said, and she's told me that she takes the dog running all day at the farm. So the dog doesn't need to be in a huge pen for exercise, just needs to go out to go to the bathroom. So a small pen will work. My suggestion would be to give her a week to decide in the yard how this is going to work, about getting supplies. She obviously doesn't have to have it made in a week. I would suggest that in a week that she gets back to your board and has at least a board member and myself go out and accept that that's going to be all right to do. I would have another suggestion that there's another appointment in 2 weeks after that it's finished, and that she again makes an appointment with you, with your board, to have at least one member and myself to go out to see that it's done. And that in the meantime, that the dog be kept on a leash. Now, of course, the dog could be on leash in the property. It doesn't have to be in the pen all the time, but that would be up to you guys.
Yeah, but if you're going to put up a fence, don't you have to drive the posts into the frozen ground?
This is, I'm thinking just chain link panels. There'd be 3 panels that would come off of the building, whether it's the house, the garage, or a porch. And that it would set on the ground on patio blocks or a small cement pad.
Okay, so you don't have to, I'm not familiar with the structure, so you don't have to penetrate the ground.
That's what I'm suggesting.
All right. I would think I don't know, I would go with maybe 2 weeks to come up with a plan. At the end of 2 weeks, review it with the animal control officer and one of the selectmen, and then follow up again 3 weeks after that.
Mr. Chairman, personally, and I could be wrong, but I don't recall a selectman going out on site and individual selectmen going out onto a site to deal with a situation like this. I have seen the building inspector go out with the animal control officer. So I would suggest it, and I'm not saying this needs a building permit, of course it doesn't, but there needs to be, if there needs to be a second party, I don't see how it can be an individual selectman. I would think it would be the animal control officer and perhaps either the assistant animal control officer or the building inspector to go out and just confirm that as a second pair of eyes, that it's done the way that the animal control officer is recommending, because as we all know, outside of a selectmen's meeting, an individual selectman doesn't have any authority to sign off on anything.
Okay.
And
So-
I guess I would push back a little bit on the 2 weeks. That may be, well, I think that while it may not be quick to at least come to agreement on how it's going to be done, even though it's just, patio block, there's still snow on the ground. It's still frozen. It's not the easiest thing in the world to work in those conditions. So I would think a little bit more time. I mean, since the dog is going to be on a leash anyway, I think a little more time would not be unreasonable. I've seen actions taken in the winter before that, certainly were more substantial, but the spring thaw was taken into consideration.
Well, we could have a review of the plan in 2 weeks, and it has to be completed, I guess, by the 1st of April.
So in 2 weeks' time, Phyllis then would come back and report on progress, I would suggest,
With the building inspector, yeah.
with whoever went out with her, presumably the building inspector.
Right.
Whoever the
I think-
second set of eyes are.
Are you okay with that, Phyllis?
I am. I think the building inspector would be good because it wouldn't be two people from the same group. It wouldn't be two animal people. It would be another set of eyes, like you said. I'm looking at it as the animal point. The building inspector may look at it differently.
Okay, Stan?
I think it's fine. You have two weeks to get the plan and then additional 2 weeks to get it implemented with stop.
No, it'd be, yeah, I guess it is, we're at the end of February.
We're
so-
at the end of February, so basically 2 weeks and
Yeah.
roughly get it done by the beginning of April.
Okay, so I will move that the recommendation of the animal control officer that the plan be established and reviewed by the animal control officer and the building inspector in the next 2 weeks, and that the project be completed and ready for review by the animal control officer and the building inspector by the 1st of April.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
All right,
Aye.
Roll call, Waisaki,
all right,
Keep,
Abstain?
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, now since you've dispensed of the matter, you need to close the hearing.
All right, and
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
I'll second that. All those in favor of closing the hearing, please say aye.
All right,
Roll call, Waisaki,
all right,
Keep,
Abstain?
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is a discussion and possible vote on a revised host community agreement with Lovecraft, 58 Main Street. What we'll do with this is we'll go around, have the selectmen make comments on the most recent revision of the host community agreement. We'll open it up for public discussion, and then it will come back to a discussion among the selectmen. So I would open the discussion by saying that I was surprised and somewhat disappointed with the latest version of the host community agreement. We've been very clear from the get-go that we're not happy with a third-party a lease of the property to yet another party, and yet that was a major inclusion, a major change to this version of the host community agreement. In my opinion, it takes us farther away from. We've been looking for some time for closure on operational issues. This opens up more uncertainty and such things in that way. So I'm disappointed with the way it went. Jonathan or Stan?
Yep, I'll go next. So this property has been empty since I moved to town in 2007, or largely empty. So it's kind of been a derelict property for a long time. And since then, the town voted in a bylaw that this would be one of the sites for marijuana retail. So I think we've engaged in a lengthy process on that host community agreement. There's been a good back and forth. I believe, the applicant has been willing to address many of our concerns. I also think because of the nature of the business, that it has to do with marijuana, there's an extra level of scrutiny. And I believe we've done that, but I think we could go too far on that. I don't think any other business in town gets this level of scrutiny. We have liquor stores, we sell liquor at different locations in town, spirits, wine, beer, and those applications are relatively simple and get a lot of support. I don't see a big difference between marijuana use, recreational marijuana use, and alcohol. So, you know, I have a, you know, it's kind of funny, but, you know, that I'm, you know, in this corner, but it's a pro-business corner. I think we need to fill that property with something productive. We've had an applicant come forward with a business plan that includes retail, and I think we should move ahead. And yeah, I think we should move ahead with this proposal.
Stan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I echo your comments as well. I can remember the very first meeting we had with the applicant, and I commented that there lacked little, if any, detail in what the nitty-gritty of the plans were in terms of establishing all the various facets of what they wish to establish. And throughout the negotiations, and especially very recently, and instead of those plans kind of solidifying and getting more detail, they kept shifting and changing over time. And the more recent ones that you mentioned, where, you know, there's now one group that's going to buy the property and there's another group that's going to lease the property. And the fact that we have said all along that we wanted no subcontracting or subletting of the property, and now we have a requirement that for delivery there needs to be another entity. And certainly with recent changes in the state law regarding that, delivery is not necessarily like classic pizza, delivering a pizza to somebody in Bolton or Stowe. They'll be free to do distribution to any point in the state of Massachusetts. So that's sort of a genie out of the bottle. And given the fluid nature of the changes that they've been asking as we've been moving forward here, it brings a great deal of uncertainty, you know, as well as you know, the closeness of this facility to a residential community, and the potential of the impact of traffic with that. So I'm not necessarily in favor of supporting this particular proposal. Yes, this would bring tax revenue to the town. It would fill an empty facility, but there are also other concerns we have to look at in terms of quality of life and the neighborhood and the like. And I think those in this particular case outweigh the need for revenue. You know, we'll potentially find some other avenue to get that building occupied.
Okay, at this point, we will open it to public comment. I ask that you use the hand raise feature on Zoom to get recognized. And when there are multiple people, I will try to call you in order in which you asked to speak on the subject. Is there anybody who would, from the general public, who would like to address the issue? All right, I see. I'm going to let Joan's on the phone, so I guess she doesn't have the hand raised feature, or it's difficult to use. So I will let Joan speak, and then it'll be Jake's turn. Go ahead, Joan.
So I'm just coming in and again, just learning this process. So I'm just inquiring about where this property is.
This is 58 Main Street. You might know it as the Cobham Building.
No, I can't. Can you give
It's over by
more of
the
a
Stowe line.
description? Where, pardon me?
It's over by the Stowe line.
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay. Jake was next.
Thank you, Mr. Selectman. I just wanted to address Selectman Keep's comment about distribution of liquor and other similar things. And wanted to say that that's really not framing the issue correctly here. There are liquor stores in town. They're not at the bottom of a residential neighborhood. They're not running a delivery service out of the bottom of a residential neighborhood. Framing this as an issue about marijuana is misconstruing the issue. This isn't about what is being distributed. This is about where the distribution is taking place. It's about where the retail is taking place. And I think that that's an unfair framing to try to set this up as an anti-marijuana problem, especially in light of these proposed revisions. Having delivery trucks that can go anywhere in the state at the bottom of our neighborhood, that's the issue. That's the objection. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Costa, you are next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm Adam Costa. I'm with the firm of Mead, Tallerman and Costa, and I'm appearing tonight on behalf of a number of residents of Bolton Woods Way.
Could you speak up a bit, please?
Sure, I'm happy to. I suspect board members have had an opportunity to see my correspondence. I submitted a letter back on January 13th. Hope you've had an opportunity to read that. And so in my correspondence, I raise a number of points. One of them is something that I think has been said before, and I know it's consistent with the advice that your counsel has given you. I know that Attorney Falk is present tonight. And that is something that I remind my municipal clients of often, which is that this is their one opportunity if they don't think that this sort of a facility is appropriate in the location where it's proposed, to say no to that proposal and to really provide the applicant, the proponent, with no recourse. I know that I've had boards, and to give you some background, I'm not somebody who is anti-marijuana. I'm not an attorney who strictly represents residents who are anti-marijuana. I've represented applicants. I've represented a number of municipalities in negotiating host community agreements like the one that you have before you tonight. With that being said, I've heard many boards of selectmen say, well, there's still additional permitting to be done. It's a project that might require a planning board, site plan review, or a zoning board of appeals special permit. And that may very well be true. But the reality is that those permits are subject to appeal. And if they're appealed, if they're denied and appealed, the board is limited to the provisions within your zoning bylaw that would allow for denial. Whereas with a host community agreement before the Board of Selectmen, there is great discretion afforded your board to decide on a case-by-case basis whether this is an appropriate proposal for this site. Not whether marijuana establishments are appropriate for the town of Bolton, not whether they should be proposed and allowed in certain locations, but whether they should be allowed in this particular location. So I would urge you just to be mindful of that authority that you have as a board, because it is significant. Secondly, and much of my letter is really devoted to the substance of the proposal. And I don't want to be repetitive either with respect to what was just said, or maybe even with respect to what board members have heard at the prior sessions of the public hearing. But my clients, as you saw in the letter, have serious concerns and many concerns about a proposal like this at a site like this. It is the sole entrance and exit to their development. It is Bolton Woods Way. It's a single roadway that provides access to their homes, and it runs right by this property. And I appreciate that the property is zoned for non-residential uses. We get that. And I appreciate, even to some extent, the analogy between these sorts of facilities and liquor licensed establishments. But what I've seen in the few years since marijuana establishments have been lawful is that the reality is, in Massachusetts municipalities, because we're not familiar with these types of facilities, they are subjected to a greater degree of scrutiny. And often that's warranted, quite frankly. When liquor license establishments receive a Section 12 or a Section 15 license, whether it's on or off premises, they're selling liquor. They're pouring it from a tap. They're selling a 6-pack. Here you've got a facility that is going to be cultivating marijuana, going to be manufacturing marijuana, going to be engaging in a retail enterprise. And in the latest version of the host community agreement is proposing to even engage in a transportation component where it's providing a delivery service. And that makes this a whole lot different than your average liquor licensed establishment. Those establishments aren't manufacturing the alcohol. You're not dealing with all the risks that would be associated with that sort of manufacture. Here, you've got the risks that go along with it, and you've got the nuisance factors that go along with it. You've got the smells that need to be contained, the odors that need to be contained. You've got the noise associated with deliveries of product to the of base product to the site, and then the transportation of the finished product off the site. You've got concerns with respect to the water consumption that's required for use of this sort. You've got a provision here that I'd highlighted in my letter that requires that a marijuana establishment's water supply be sufficient for necessary operations, and that any private water source be capable of providing a safe, potable, and adequate supply of water to meet the marijuana establishment's needs. I don't know a lot about this particular establishment. I've read what's been available on your website and in the HCA. So I don't know exactly what type of cultivation they're proposing and what the manufacturing process entails. But I do know that very many marijuana establishments, some that have been proposed in communities I represent, utilize a significant amount of water.
All right,
And if there is going to be
Mr.
significant
Costa, I
water
can give you
consumption-
one more minute here.
Thank you. I'll wrap up. If water consumption is something that is going to be problematic, it's going to have a direct effect on the aquifer. It's going to have a direct effect on those who reside closest to this facility, and that, of course, are those, of course, are my clients who are residing on the adjacent residential development. And then my final point is, property values, which are concerning. And I know that this is a drum that gets beat often with respect to different types of development. But again, because these sorts of establishments are so new, when you choose to permit them not in an industrial park, not in a location that's surrounded by non-residential uses, there's a real risk that it's going to have a direct impact on the values of residential properties that are nearby. And we simply don't know the answer to that question yet fully, because these facilities haven't been lawful in Massachusetts for long enough. So in light of everything that I've said in my letter, in light of the significant discretion that the board has, on behalf of my clients, the residents who are most affected by this proposal, I would really urge you to take a close look at it and to reject the proposal that's before you, and ask the developer to look elsewhere in Bolton if it wishes to propose this sort of a facility. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I've been asked to go back to Jake and ask for Jake's last name so we can record it properly in our minutes.
My last name is Steinman. It's Steinmann.
Thank you very much. There was somebody else who had a hand up, and the hand's gone now. Anybody else like to speak? All right, I would turn it back to the Fishieri. Go ahead, Joan. I can't hear you.
How's that?
That's fine, thank you.
Okay. Do we know who is the developer? Are you revealing that information? Do we know anything more about the people who are?
All of this information has been public since August. A company called Lovecraft, the copy of their proposal has been on the website. The copy of the most recent negotiations between the town and them has been on the website for at least 2 weeks. So yes, there's a lot of information that's been publicly revealed and discussed in open meetings since this first came up in August or September.
What website is this, Robert?
The town website.
The town website.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak? All right, it's back to the Board of Selectmen. Any closing comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make some. So I live in a residential neighborhood with the Neshoba Winery. They grow grapes and apples. They turn them into wine on the premises. They also produce spirits on the premises. People come to the winery and they drink those spirits out on the lawn. They also buy them and take them home. I don't see a big difference between what's being proposed at the Cobham building is that much different than the winery.
Well, Jonathan, that facility is anywhere between 3/4 and a whole mile from your house, from your driveway.
Yeah, but it's centered in a residential neighborhood. I'm very aware of it. I support it. It's great. But so that's my first point. I just want to talk about Paragon Communications, which is right across the street from the Cobham building. They get deliveries of large trucks daily in and out, delivering the things that the equipment that they fix. So I don't see how trucks or Amazon vans are really going to have a dramatic effect on the neighborhood. I think we've seen over at Temescal Wellness in Hudson, in the beginning, there were long lines. People had to park, a few miles away, take shuttles. We've seen how that business has calmed down. Now people just park in the parking lot. They walk in, they buy their recreational marijuana and go on their way. Another store has opened across the street from the Highlands there. So now we have 2 stores. So it's just becoming more normalized. I think there's a lot of fear about marijuana based on kind of conditioning and our history related to law enforcement and reefer madness propaganda. But I think it's becoming just normal. And so that's why I support this proposal.
But I would once again point out that those facilities in Hudson are not within a half mile of a residential area. So, Stan?
I believe I said what I needed to say. I don't really have anything further other than I'm not necessarily in favor of this for the reasons that I have given.
Okay.
Mr. Cat has his hand up.
Pardon me?
I just wanted to mention Mr. Cat has his physical hand up.
Oh, okay. Mr. Cat, go ahead.
Thank you. I understand the concerns of the community. I'm going back to the beginning of how I came to Bolton and found the space that we're trying to work with currently. The town voted it in, and therefore it appeared the town wanted this project to come to Bolton. I first engaged the town planner, who basically informed me where the zoning was correct for this type of project to go. And there were very limited places in town, unfortunately, for this site to take place. When I spoke with the planner and all the way forward to today, this site continues to be the best site, if not optimal, because of its placement next to Bolton Woods Way. We respect the fact that the community wants separation from the facility, and therefore will have and will make any and all requests to separate ourselves as completely as possible, including all the blockages on Bolton Woods Way and the restoration of a naturally wooded buffer to protect that roadway up to that community from anything happening at the site. But the site in question is within its zoning. And this issue gets confusing because we also have an agreement on the property next door, which pushes it slightly further away from Bolton Woods Way, but still within the town of Bolton. And because that adjacent piece is also zoned industrial, it does meet the zoning for said facility. Now, with that said, the state encourages the recycling and reuse of existing buildings. And with that said, the site at 58 Main Street checks all the boxes. The plan has been fluid as of now, especially regarding the request for delivery, because these rules are changing on a week-to-week basis with the CCC. So the most current standard, and that's the other thing too, is it's not really our place to request delivery, because the way the CCC is designed the delivery statutes, they're really for a social equity applicant to apply for. So we ourselves cannot do delivery, nor would we be able to unless we partnered with somebody. And the town has voted in favor of allowing delivery to be provided from the town. So the only way that we could actualize that facet of what would be happening would be to partner with somebody. Otherwise, we're happy to not partner with a social equity applicant and not do delivery, because it's not really our core focus. Our core focus is more about working our store and working the property internally. It was more of a reach from us to the social equity community, which there's a group of participants in, and the fact that the town had voted this in. So unfortunately, because of its placement, the facility is not necessarily ideal in that way, but it does check all the boxes, and it does give the town the ability to actualize its interest in cannabis in one neat place. I do realize that it's causing strife with the neighbors, and I'd like to do anything I could to remedy that going forward. But like I said, the delivery component was added only to satisfy the notion that the town would like to see delivery from it, and that we could work with a social equity partner, because that's the only way the law is allowing delivery. It was going to be an exclusive for 3 to 4 years, and now they've just dialed it back to 2. So if we are fine with the fact that we maybe shouldn't do delivery right away, or if the town would like to see something take place over time where maybe delivery could be factored in later, we understand, but it's not delivery like you might imagine. It's all small vehicle based. And at this point, everything that we'd be doing would be coming off of 117 as part of the request and requirements from the town, that we'll have to devise a special separate entrance off 117 to accommodate any traffic increase to the property. So we're ready to do that. And we understand why it's necessary to keep us separate from Bolton Woods Way. So I just wanted to put that out there, make that explanation so you guys understand why things have been sliding around a bit. But the regulations from the CCC have been all over the place, and they've only just kind of firmed up in the past couple of weeks.
Okay,
So that was the last minute addition of the no subcontracting, no subleasing clause of the HCA, was that so we could potentially accommodate a social equity applicant who might want to be that applicant to Bolton and provide those facilities for that individual.
All right,
That's
thank you.
something we'd be doing
Mr. Berardi?
individually. So just wanted to clarify that, and thank you for your review of this project.
Hi, I'm Lou Verratti. I live at 68 Bolton Woods Way. It's interesting what Mr. Katz is explaining about, because now we're getting into an issue of a moving target. So now things are changing on a weekly or monthly basis. So that's even more disconcerting for our neighborhood. So now we have issues which we believe to be financial, meaning the property value is going to drop. We have issues with resources. Our water is going to be changing. We're concerned with safety issues out on 117. We're also concerned with our children anywhere near our neighborhood or near 117 with vehicles. And now we're adding in delivery trucks going in and out of the facility. So now we're looking at a new change of delivery to the entire state out of Bolton. From the beginning, none of this has really made a lot of sense to us. And as a Bolton resident, it's not us. It's not who we are. It's not what Bolton is all about. Bolton, you mentioned a winery. It's on a large facility. It's well set up. There's really no issues. But now we're comparing it to a facility that's going to be selling products, making products, using resources. And then people are talking about a political football of liking marijuana or not liking marijuana. Well, it's not. It's not about marijuana. It could be about lollipops. But if they're making lollipops and it's eating up our resources, or if they're making lollipops and they're so good that people are coming in and out of our roads and creating a hazard, that's a problem. So I just would like the selectmen to, really think about how this is going to impact the residents up in Bolton Woods Way. We've worked very hard to, explain ourselves in a polite fashion and present our concerns, again, in a polite way. But it's really important that we be considered into the equation versus trying to make money, because I don't think we're going to make as much money as you think. And I don't think it's going to really help everybody in the town of Bolton. And, we had another company that was going to make the product, and they had a really good setup, and they really had soup to nuts, a good plan. This plan doesn't seem to be a good plan. It seems to be changing all the time. And if it's not ideal now, it's not going to be any better down the road. So anyways, that's what I wanted to say. I hope you really consider not allowing this to move forward. Mr. Katz, you seem like a very nice man. I wish you well in other things, but I just don't think this is a good fit for you and for our town. And I really believe that you can be very successful in a better location. That's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Gentlemen, going by Leo, I'm going to recognize you, and I'm going to ask you to give us your full name and where you live in town.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. You sound good.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Leo Tompkins. I live on Bolton Woods Way also. But there was some comments made that I think I'd like to correct. Comparing this product to wine is not even in the same class. You go and you have 2-3 glasses of wine, I'm sure you know how you feel. This is more like somebody smokes this in 8 to 10 minutes. They're on like a trip of LSD. This is potent stuff. And I don't know if you've actually gone to the websites, the places that sell these products. You can view it, and I think you'd be astonished at the things that are actually sold related to marijuana, and how they sell this stuff by the gram, if you can imagine. Upwards of like $150, $160 a gram, if you can imagine. I'd like to think that, looking at the age of all of us, we probably had contact with this at some point in our life. And I'm not trying to get you to compare anything like that. I do think it's the wrong place for this particular product. I'd like to also say that I think the places in Hudson, if you can correct me, I don't think they're growing the marijuana. This is to compare that to what's going to happen at the foot of my street is not the same thing. And the other thing I'd like to mention, I visited a website, I can't think of it right at the moment, and anybody wants to correct me, feel free. But I think there's like 135 marijuana dispensaries throughout Massachusetts at this point. I think I've heard, it's a rumor only, they're going to put one down in Stowe, God knows where. I just can't imagine that would anybody would let this happen with children down at the foot of the street, and the answer to that is not, well, we'll have them pick them up with a bus up, so they don't have to stand down there. I just don't think it's a fit for the neighborhood, and that's all I have to say. And I appreciate you letting me speak about what I spoke about, because I do believe that this is not your mother's marijuana we're talking about. Some of these places are actually selling hash, and God knows what else. And I'll leave it at that. And I appreciate your time, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
As I stated at the outset that I was disappointed with the way the lack of progress here. And so I'm going to make a motion to cease negotiations with Lovecraft of Massachusetts on a host community agreement, where I move that the board cease negotiations with Lovecraft of Massachusetts on a host community agreement for potential marijuana retail, marijuana product manufacturing, and marijuana cultivation establishment at 58 Main Street, and decline to enter into agreement due to the lack of vision on the operations as requested by the Board of Selectmen since the beginning of negotiations. This adversely affects the residential neighborhood, the school bus stops, and the residential street.
I will second that.
Okay. Is there further discussion among the selectmen? If there not being any, I will move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Roll call.
Roll call, Wysocki,
Aye.
Keep,
Nay.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is a request from Bolton Access Television for the 2020 fourth quarter Comcast funds and transfer from the Comcast capital account in the amount of $38,532.26.
Hello.
Where are you?
Hello. How are you?
Oh, there you are. You were moving all over the screen. Hi, Nikki.
How are you doing?
Good, good. Why don't you bring
How
us
are you?
on what Bolton Access TV is doing?
Well, we are already starting to plan for the annual town meeting. We're getting a jump this year. So we're pretty much hoping to do what we did last year. We're going to try to make a few tweaks, though, I think, in the design. And we're hoping to use some of the capital money to get some wireless video transmitters and receivers, cut down a little bit on the amount of cabling that we had to run last year.
Okay. All
Goal.
right. Any questions from the selectmen? Questions or comments about the transfer?
Actually, the only question is I'm surprised that it's as much as it is. It's typically in the $25,000, $26,000 range, and that's clearly a bump up from the last time you were here.
That's actually so our regular franchise fee was $26,532, which is a normal. Well, it's down, but it's
Yeah.
down a little bit. And then 12,000 is the capital fund. So those come in June of each year. So that's last June, 2020's June capital.
Gotcha. Nice. Well, take it when we can get it, right?
Exactly.
No, that's fine. I'll make a motion that we approve Bolton Access Television's request for the 2020 Q4 Comcast funds in the amount of $38,532.26.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Wysocki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next up is a discussion of capital requests from the fire department with Chief Legendre.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, the board, how are you?
Good.
Good, how are you this evening?
Well, thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Not a problem.
Go ahead. Why don't you give us an overview of what capital request you're asking for this year?
So this year, the capital request from the fire department was the purchase of a new pumper rescue and the purchase of an ambulance. The ambulance will be primarily funded through ambulance receipts account and most likely borrowing for the engine for replacement of engine 2 at this point. We have developed some bigger issues with engine 1, which is being assessed by our pump vendor. We're looking hopefully to have that fixed within the next week. If it goes one way, if it goes the other and they can't remove the part, we're electing out a pump rebuild for that engine, and then we have to reassess the placement or replacement of which engine is going to go first.
What number you're using planning to present at town meeting for the ambulance and the fire truck?
The engine replacement will be 800,000, and the right now through some estimations and other programs, the ambulance replacement would be 257,000.
Okay, and in my understanding from the advisory committee of the past week is that, as you point out, the ambulance would be paid for out of ambulance receipts, and the fire truck would be a borrowing. It wouldn't be a one-time payment. And as a matter of fact, given the lead time on the fire truck, it probably wouldn't even show up in next year's
That is correct. We're being told to expect.
budget. It wouldn't show up until fiscal 23.
Mr. Chairman, Kristen has confirmed that it won't show up in FY '22. So there'll be no debt payment in FY '22.
Okay. You promised, Kristen. Just remember, you promised.
I know where our office is.
Yeah. Okay. But if you have this issue with the other fire truck, it may be necessary to reevaluate the priority with the
There is within the confines of what I've laid out, the possibility of working to get a demo truck. So for that 800,000, there was additional monies put in above and beyond the purchase price of the vehicle to replace hose. Currently, we have 200 feet of supply hose. If 200 feet get damaged one way or another, we are going to be without hose and a full complement. Same goes for the attack hose, very limited supply. So this would allow for a surplus if there was damage. Current configuration on the jaws of life, items that are necessary for this vehicle to go out and complete its task that it's currently doing. Proper storage, configurations for safety. As you know, this vehicle, engine 2, the one being replaced, was just hit up on the highway by a hit and run driver. Has been replaced, but some modifications to keep crew more safe, having the attack lines actually off the front bumper. The top mount pump area is in discussion. All these items would make it a custom truck, so it would be a little bit more, but also built to last 20 to 25 years. And the equipment to go with it. So we're starting to replace items. Mr. Lowe?
Okay. Any other questions from the selectmen?
Yeah. Hi, Chief Legendre. Can you tell me how old engine number 1 and 2 are?
Yeah, engine number 1 is a 1995 Pierce apparatus with a 1,250 gallon permitted pump and 1,250 gallons of water. Engine number 2 is a 2004 American LaFrance Metropolitan with 1,500 gallons of water and a 1,500 gallon per minute pump.
Thank you.
Don, did you have a comment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I did. I just wanted to add that obviously I met with Chief Legendre early on when all the capital proposals were submitted. And we've discussed this a couple of times. And then we've met twice in the past probably 48 hours, just going over detail again and again and again. I'm comfortable with the 257 for the ambulance. I do think it's a priority that we should be supporting for next year. And as far as the apparatus goes, yes, the $800,000, as I said earlier, we would obviously need to borrow, but there'll be no debt payment for next year. So I just wanted to add my support based on the follow-up meetings I've had with the chief this week for both of those vehicles.
Okay. Stan, any comments or questions?
Well, yeah, just to articulate for the audience, what are the driving factors requiring us to buy a new ambulance?
We look at an ambulance, and an ambulance is a very vehicle that goes quick, stops quick. We're looking at the mileage, road, not necessarily the road mileage. We got to take into effect the wear and tear on the engine. As the ambulances get older, the repair costs greatly increase versus the warranties of having a new one. So optimal is right around 5 to 6 years, which we're at right now. This was due to be purchased last year and was put off a year in lieu to start the paramedic program. If we continue to let the ambulance get into a 7th and 8th year, the costs are greatly going to extend past what the investment would be in a new ambulance.
Are we planning on trading this one in for the new one?
Yes, at this point, yes. At first, I was not. I will be honest, I was looking to fund a second ambulance. I don't think that is feasible at this point, and that's why from my initial submittal to capital to where we are now is vastly different in the numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions, so I thank you very much for joining us and explaining this, presenting this tonight.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
And good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Next up is the town administrator report with Don Lowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be as succinct as possible. As far as the COVID-19 update goes, the latest numbers as of this afternoon at 5 o'clock, Bolton had 5 new cases, which brought us back to yellow, which obviously that's a good direction. I didn't think we'd remain in the red for more than 1 week, and we didn't. Over the last 14 days, the town has a 3.77% positivity rate. As far as our neighbors go, Hudson, Lancaster, and Clinton are all yellow, and Harvard and Stowe are gray. So all the area towns on that list are trending in the positive direction. No, I won't say positive, in the right direction. And the state positivity test rate over the past 7 days for the rolling average is down to 1.85, which is the lowest that it's been for several months. So everything in that space is trending in the right direction. And hopefully things continue to go that way. Just a couple of things as far as the grant update goes. I know I already sent something to the Board of Selectmen, but just so folks know, we did land a grant. The Master Plan Committee and our town planner landed a grant from the MAPC for the master plan for 60 hours of consultant work from someone from the MAPC. Difficult to put a dollar amount on that, but it's still 60 hours worth of work, and And as Erica said, and I'm sure she's right, you know, if a couple more hours need to be done, if they're not quite all the way there, I don't think they're going to stop right at 60 on the spot. So it was very, very helpful to get that grant. So congratulations to the Master Plan Steering Committee and Erica. And also, last but not least, and I'm going to see if I can get this right the first time because I'm told it's never happened before. I would like the board to meet, welcome, and vote on the appointment of proposed new town planner, Valerie Ortiz. How did I do, Valerie?
That was perfect.
All right.
Very good. Well, good
Okay, we
evening.
see there she is. So welcome, Valerie. This is the Board of Selectmen. They're not so bad once you get to know them. And any questions that you might have for Valerie? I'm sure she can answer, no problem.
Could you give us just a little bit of your background prior to coming here?
Sure, yes. So I did my planning education through Tufts Urban and Environmental Policy and Planning Program. Afterwards, I was the assistant planner and GIS administrator for 4.5 years in the town of Stowe. So I'm quite familiar with the area and looking forward to coming back.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Well,
Thank you.
very impressive.
Questions or comments?
I'm fine. Dawn's giving me a background. I think it's fine. I think we should just vote before she changes her mind.
Accept the motion.
All right, well then, hopefully I don't butcher your name. I vote that we appoint Valerie Ortiz to the position of town planner for the town of Bolton.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Great,
Roll
good.
call. Oops. Roll call, Wysocki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
Welcome, Valerie.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Valerie. Welcome
Thank you so
aboard.
much. Looking forward to it.
Your Valerie's first day, her start date, for those who may not remember my email, is Monday, March 15th. So she'll be on board in a couple of weeks.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. And unless any of you have any questions, that's all I have for my town administrator's report tonight.
Okay. Next, we'll have an update on and a request for support for the housing production plan. That would be Marco Hagan and Erica Uriarty. Is Erica still with us? Yes, she is. Good. Good evening, Mark.
Hi, how are you?
Hey,
Good.
Mark.
Hi,
Who's going to start the discussion?
Erica, have at it.
Erica, you're muted.
Mute.
There you go.
Know how this works by now, right? So good evening. Yeah, so we're excited to be back in front of you. We've finalized the housing production plan. We've gone through a 30-day public comment period back in December, and we've, excuse me, incorporated those comments into the plan. And so now we're at a point where we would like to make a submission of that plan to the Department of Housing and Community Development. And we would love support of the Board of Selectmen in doing that. So that's, and nothing substantive has changed in the plan since the last time we talked about it. So that's kind of where we're at.
No, it looks very comprehensive. It's certainly well written. So I certainly support it.
Okay. Well, then I'll make a motion that we support the final version of the housing production plan for Bolton and let them take it forward to the state.
Second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Roll call, Wysocki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll be continuing on with Erica to review and discuss approving the revised planning board fee schedule.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Mark.
Good seeing you.
Yes, so the planning board seeks to update their application fee schedule. We're seeking to include an application fee for a special permit under the barn bylaw, as well as an application fee for bed and breakfasts. We've established the rates based on similar applications to the Zoning Board of Appeals that have similar administrative support needed to sort of facilitate those applications. And that's $100 plus $6 per certified abutter. And those are the changes.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Do I have a motion?
All right. I'll make a motion that we approve the changes to the planning board fees.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Waisaki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
Erica, while we have you here, thank you for all that you've done to help the town. It's been great working with you.
So much, and thank you for the opportunity. It's been really wonderful getting to know all of the residents. It's been great.
Well, great. We greatly appreciate it, and good luck in the future.
Thank you.
Yes.
You too.
Miss you, Erica.
We will.
I'll miss you guys too.
Erica, since we're on a roll, next up is a recommendation of appointments by you for the positions of associate member to the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Economic Development Committee. Would you like to walk us through those recommendations?
Sure. So we have Gabrielle Lamont, who seeks to be an associate member to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Currently, we have 2 open associate member positions for that board. So it'll be very nice to have Gabrielle be part of that group. Her background is she's an engineer, or excuse me, an engineer. She's an attorney. I'm sure I see Gabrielle's in attendance, so perhaps she could speak better to her background. But yeah, so we're very excited. The Zoning Board of Appeals is very excited to have Gabrielle join the board.
Great.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gabrielle Lamont. I got very scared when Erica just said I was an engineer.
I'm sorry.
No scientific or math training, which is why I went to law school. So I work for the Middlesex DA's office as a prosecutor. I've done that for the last 5.5 years. My husband and I moved to Bolton in May of 2020. It was a very nice change from East Boston, where we came from. I love the town so far. It's been an amazing place to live, and I'm looking forward to being part of the town government.
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, we welcome you aboard. Could I have a motion?
Make a motion that we appoint Gabrielle Lamont as an associate member to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Roll call, Waisaki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, you're in. Can't
Thank you
change
very
it.
much for serving. Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead, Erica.
And then the second appointment is for another resident, Larry Sedone, to sit on the Economic Development Committee. That's a 7-member committee, and right now we have 6 members. So we have 1 open position. I see that Larry's in attendance as well. Yep. I believe his background, he's worked with the YMCA in the past and in development. So I'm sure Larry could speak to that. Hi, you guys, you all can hear me?
We can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay,
but
good.
we
Okay,
always see the reflection of your glasses.
Yeah, I know. Let me take them off.
Yeah.
It looks horrible. There you
Yeah.
go. Thanks.
You were like Don last night, looking like in the witness protection program.
Well, my wife and I moved back to Massachusetts from after leaving in 1999 to move to Charlotte, North Carolina. We moved back about a year ago. And then obviously February, March, you guys know the pandemic, you know, all that stuff. And moved into our house here in Bolton on Moderator Way in April-ish. And, you know, my wife, we moved back because her job and also to be closer to our daughter who graduated from BC about 3 or 4 years ago, and I kind of have a nice, relatively work a little part-time job and just looking to get involved. My roles when we lived in Massachusetts, I was in wine sales, but in Charlotte, I was actively involved at PTA president for 6 years, running big budgets of big schools down there, believe it or not. But then I went to work for the Y and actually had a 19-year career, about 10 of them as a director of a giant Y in Charlotte. The YMCA organization down there is quite large, and did everything from fundraising and running golf tournaments to just trying to make us a more vibrant and vital in our community. So, I guess those are the skill sets I bring to the table to do whatever it is, which I will need all your help on educating me on what that may or may not be. But that being said, I would love to get involved.
Okay, sounds good. Excellent.
Great, thank you. We
Could I have
appreciate
a
it.
motion?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Larry Cedrone to the Economic Development Committee.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Cool.
Roll.
Thank you.
Roll call, Wysocki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
We
Larry.
look forward to working with you.
Yeah, I'll reach
and-
out and learn about what I should be doing in the next week or so that I can
Oh,
be a little
sure.
bit more knowledgeable of what my role should be, or roles
Sure.
or whatever. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you.
All right, and Erica, we got to figure out a way to get you on the next agenda,
Good night,
We'll work on
everyone.
Thank you.
Hi, Erica.
Hi, Erica.
Be good.
Update from Kristen Noel on and a possible vote on eligibility changes for future retiree health benefits.
Yes, so I know this subject came up I don't know, a few months ago in a selectmen's meeting, and based upon the continuously increasing cost of health insurance, we started exploring different measures of how we can limit our exposure and liability regarding insurance. And one of the subjects that we started to look into was the retiree health. Currently, our bylaws do not include. Let me back up a little bit. So right now with retiree health, we do offer retiree health to obviously retirees. If they retire before their age 65, they're eligible to stay on one of our active plans. The contribution is 70% for the town and 30% for the retiree. And then once the retiree turns 65, then they would take a Medicare supplemental plan. One of the things that we have experienced over the years is because we offer retiree health, if an individual who was benefit eligible and worked for the town for any period of time decides, mid-career to switch communities, if their community offers retiree health and only contributed 50% of the premium, they have the option to come back to the town of Bolton because they were eligible, and there's nothing preventing us from having them come back on our plan. So what we looked at was we'd really like to add something to the Chapter 70 in our personnel bylaw, stipulating that in order for an employee to be eligible to join our retiree health, they must retire directly from the town of Bolton.
Matt, I think that makes sense.
That makes excellent sense.
Yep.
Now, you said it's a bylaw, so does this have to go to town meeting?
It's an administrative bylaw. I believe Don can weigh in on this, so it is. I believe you can vote that in.
Yes, all these zoning bylaws need to be voted at annual town meeting, as far as I know.
Okay, thank you. No, I think this is covers a big gap, a big loophole in our health policy. So, I'm eager to take advantage of fixing this. Thank you. Any other comments?
No, I'm good.
I agree.
So,
Okay, can I have a
All right.
motion?
sure, I'll make a motion that we accept the recommendations from our Human Resources Director, Kristen Noel, to change the eligibility changes for future retirees in our current health plan and in the administrative bylaw.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Roll call,
Aye.
Wysocki. Sorry. Roll
Aye.
call, Wysocki. Keep,
Aye.
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye. All right, thank you, Kristen. It's a big
Excellent.
deal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you,
Kristen.
Kristen.
Welcome.
Thank you, Kristen.
Next up are Board of Selectmen business. Are there any public service announcements?
Not this evening from me.
Don?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. I had a meeting earlier this week with the members of the Public Waste Safety Committee. And they are continuing to try to fill their ranks. So I told them that I would make a public request tonight for people, and we've had this advertised for a while. There is room on the Public Waste Public Waste Safety Committee for membership. I think it's a really important committee in town. They bring forward a lot of good ideas. They talk to residents about concerns. They vet the concerns and then bring them to the Board of Selectmen if they think action is worthwhile. So anyone who's interested in serving, it really is a very, very helpful committee. They did note that currently there is no one on the committee that has children of any age in the school system. And it would be a good perspective to have public waste safety from the perspective of child safety on top of everything else. So just putting a request out to residents to see if this is something they might like to be interested in, because it's a very satisfying it's very satisfying work to try to make your town safer.
Okay, very good. I have a couple brief announcements. One is that the town nominating caucus will be on Monday, the evening of Monday, March 8th at 7:30 p.m. It will be a Zoom affair this year. You have to pre-register to be included and get the information on participating in the meeting. And the way to get that, the way to register for the caucus is to go to the Town of Bolton homepage, go down to the bottom of the homepage where the calendar is, click on all public meetings, change the calendar to March, look at the citizen, click on the Citizen Caucus on March 8th, and there will be the link to registration for the event. There are several open positions where, although there are people running for re-election, the various committees also have open slots. I know Parks and Rec is one of them. I think Cemetery is another. I'm not sure about that. Pam Powell's nodding yes. So if you're interested in getting involved and trying to see what town government's like, this is a good opportunity to at least watch the caucus if you haven't been to one. It lasts, what, 20, 25 minutes? You know, and if that, yeah. You know, frankly, it is in person, it's one of the more entertaining evenings of the town year, just because of the stories you hear before and after each one. Following up on that, if you want to register to vote, I bring this up because I think there are a lot of college students who normally would be on campus who are not on campus. You are therefore eligible to vote in the town election this year and at the annual town meeting. You can register to vote through the town clerk website, which will provide a link to the state of Massachusetts website, or you can go right to the Secretary of State's Massachusetts online voter registration to register to vote in time for the annual town meeting and the town election. The annual town meeting is, we're planning right now, it's looking to be an in-person affair like it was last year. That will be the first Monday evening in May. And that completes my public announcements. Now we move on to approving animal control officer designations for Phyllis Tower and Pamela Johnson. Don, you want to walk us through this?
Yes, these are annual appointments. I meant to have them on the agenda for the last meeting, and it was an oversight on my part that they weren't there. I recommend that Phyllis and Pam be reappointed.
Just for a point of correction, they have already been appointed to these positions. This is the designations with the state.
Thank you, Jenny. She's absolutely right.
All right, could I have a motion to designate them?
Sure, I make a motion that we approve the animal control officer designations for Phyllis Tower and Pamela Johnson for the town of Bolton.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Roll call, Waisaki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
And these forms do need to be signed, but only by the supervisor's signature. Would that be you, Don, or would that be Bob?
It would be Bob unless it can be designated to me. I think it needs to be Bob though for this. I'm certain it needs to be Bob.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
be there next day or two, so, okay.
I'll have those in the yellow folder.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Next up is going through a draft version of the annual town meeting warrant.
So we did the initial walkthrough at the last meeting, and the meeting on March 11th, we'll be doing the official detailed walkthrough where you'll vote your initial recommendations, and we'll be with the town moderator and town council and probably the advisory committee. So I just want to highlight a couple of changes from the last warrant. Not that I don't think anything will be a surprise based on the discussion at the last meeting. We added the actual article that will have a second signature required for the revolving fund for ALS for any amount in excess of $25,000. And the figure is added to the table as well. We have added the article that I said that I recommended should be added, which is an article for money to deal with emergency repairs or maintenance issues that may crop up relative to the wastewater treatment facility. So what that consists of is we actually have a stabilization fund that's still out there specifically for the water treatment facility, which really didn't get us where I hoped it would, because since it's a stabilization fund, it still requires a town meeting vote. So that didn't get us to where it needs to be. So the article would take the remaining balance of money, which is specifically $21,041.34, fund as a funding source for this article, and also $25,000 from free cash to go into this article. So the total amount of the article is $46,041.34, which should be sufficient money to deal with anything that isn't of a catastrophic nature. And if we do run into anything of a catastrophic nature, we'll be having a special town meeting to deal with it. Also, I just note here, and I'm picking up on this for the first time, I did not consider that since part of the funding for this is taking the remaining funds out of the stabilization fund that was created, this should be a 2/3 majority article and not a simple majority, because it's a 2/3 vote to take anything out of a stabilization fund as well as put anything into a stabilization fund. So that's a minor edit that we'll need to make. I hadn't picked up on that. I hadn't considered it before. I had initially said it was a majority. And then the only other change would be the dollar amount for the ambulance article. Was written as 232, so we'll adjust it up slightly to the 257. And those are all the pertinent changes that I have for tonight.
There was a road acceptance article taken out, right?
I'm sorry?
There was a road acceptance article taken out, correct?
I was going to recommend you do that at the next meeting.
Well, there's only two in here now. Weren't
Right.
there three?
There were only two before.
Right, there were only two before.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought there were three before.
A while back, there were three, but moderator Way was removed.
Okay,
I just want to follow up on that. We're at a transition point in terms of institutional memory. Erica is leaving us. She's been very involved with Century Mill Estates since she started. We also, have a new DPW director. So I just want to make sure that we're connecting the dots between DPW directors and, Erica's an engineer, so her expertise on both of these so that we have a really confident recommendation to the board.
The new DPW director has been very involved with Century Mill Estates. He's been up there. He's done quite a bit of work in getting up to speed. And as far as moderator Way goes, for next year, I did a review of it with Erica today. She's got very good detailed notes as to what the remaining issues are up there. And she is assiduously documenting everything, including Century Mill Estates. And I think it'll be a good handoff to Valerie. And Erica has, and not surprisingly, Erica has said, if there are any questions on anything, or if anything needs to be checked out, she welcomes a phone call, and she'll be there to provide whatever, as you said, institutional memory, which really is invaluable on anything that comes up. So Erica has been very, very generous in that respect.
Okay, good. Thank you.
all right. Next up is to approve the bills and payroll warrants W2117 and W21-17A.
Make a motion that we approve the bills and the payroll warrants for W21-17 and W21-17A.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Waisaki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we have some minutes, Ginny.
We do. Let me share those now. The first set is for January 28th. There was one tiny change. Right there, the inclusion of the word since.
Okay.
Otherwise, they are unchanged. And do you want to see the other set and vote on them together?
Sure.
Sure.
And these had no changes. These are from February 11th.
Okay. I will then make a motion that we approve the minutes for our meetings of January 28th, 2021 and February 11th, 2021.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Waisaki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye. Okay, the board will once again go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for the AFSCME, Council Number 93, DPW Unit, as the chair finds that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the board's bargaining position. And under Chapter 21A2 to discuss strategy with respect to contract negotiations with non-union personnel. The board will return to open session for a possible vote. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Roll call, Waisaki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Give me a few minutes to move everyone.
Yep. have a vote on the memorandum of understanding between the town of Bolton and AFSCME Council Number 93 DPW Unit. Could I have a motion to ratify the memorandum of understanding?
I will make a motion to ratify the memorandum of understanding between the town of Bolton and AFS CME Council Number 93 DPW Unit.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Waisaki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning? Please say
Aye.
aye.
All
Roll
right,
call, Waisaki,
Aye.
Keep,
Aye.
Sikansky.
Aye.
thank you,
Time for-
everyone.
The
Thank you.
time for the
Have a nice
record is
night.
9:22.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.